Welcome to Precisely Nowhere. It is good to be back. I'm currently recording laying in bed, just trying to take it easy. I woke up with a migraine this morning and it was brutal. I don't really usually get migraines, but they happen every once in a while, and this one was not fun. It woke me up from my sleep, and it was mostly on one side of my head, which I'm grateful for that. It woke me up. I got some water and then I passed out for another hour. So I feel like I was also exhausted. And luckily, my exhaustion overcame the migraine and ended up beating that out. So that was nice because it's just been very busy in my 9 to 5 in really good ways. A lot going on, lots of new projects. So I'm grateful for it, but I'm also a little tired. It's been a pretty nonstop spring to now summer, and that is a blessing. Lots of good things have been happening, but I'm still human and I have to remember that everyone needs to take a beat and a rest every now and then and not spread myself so thin at times across all different things in life. And that is something that I'm realizing I think it's catching up to me a bit, but it is going to be a good rest of the week. I'm very happy to be recording another episode. I have been taking a few rest days actually. So I'm recording this a little later than usual, which means the episode will come out a little later than usual. But I am reminding myself that we all need to take care of ourselves first. And as much as I am a hustler, I am also human, and it is truly a very fun juggling act having a demanding 9 to 5, a career, and a side hustle passion project, which is this podcast. And I refuse to give up my passions for corporate America. I just think that having spent so many years not spending as much time on my passions, I have grown in different ways for sure. And that helped me excel tremendously in my career. But at the same time, I at times was giving less to myself and doing things that really filled my personal cup up and helped keep me that well-rounded person that experiences life. And no knock to anyone who's like a workaholic and ingrained in their job and that. But in this journey of the in-between, it is important to find time for both, I think, and totally acceptable. It should be acceptable and encouraged by employers for employees to have a life outside of their 9 to 5 and job. Even if you work for yourself, I think we all deserve to play and live and work hard, but also play hard. So I am speaking this into the universe because it is a helpful reminder for me, and I hope a unsolicited reminder to you. But in today's episode, I wanted to chat about some life updates, keep it easy and breezy because that's where my mind's at right now. So I'm leaning into that and I'm excited to jump into the episode. It is exciting to be joyful about recording because it's been a minute since I've had the headspace, in a sense, to really think deep and reflect because I've been so on the go and doing a lot. I find that I do give myself time to reflect, but not a significant amount of time to just really sit with the moment and be present. That's not saying I'm not present in my day to day, but being so on the go with everything and keep things in fast forward mode, if that makes sense. And I am trying to slow down a bit and remind myself that it's about the journey, not just the destination, and to let myself enjoy that journey. So, one exciting thing that happened recently, well, exciting, bittersweet, but Biden withdrew from the presidential race and endorsed Kamala Harris as president of the United States. It was such a momentous day, and I remember that my boyfriend had texted me. I was in the middle of doing some cleaning. He texted it to me, and I was watching a movie or TV show, so I wasn't on social media. And I saw his text and immediately teared up because part of me couldn't believe it, and then part of me was overjoyed because the idea of having a woman president is an amazing idea and dream. I thought we were going to get it with Hillary. Unfortunately, we all know how that worked out. And now there's a second chance for a woman to be president. And I've been saying to lots of people, and if you are close with me, know that I am like, it is about damn time a woman runs this country, or we give a woman a chance at least, because we have many decades and there are a lot of examples of men running the country, and let's shake things up a bit. Let's be open to new perspectives, whoever's voice they come out of, that are thinking of the greater good. And I think that it would be wonderful to see a woman be president. So it's been a historic week. By the time this comes out, this will be old news, as they say. But in thinking about the bigger picture of this audio digital diary of mine, I decided I wanted to reflect on this moment. And as I was watching CNN on the day that this was announced, I guess mentioned how it's similar right now is similar to the 60s in terms of assassinations, with the attempted assassination on Trump recently. And it's wild to think about the similarities between politics in the 60s, which is pretty much 60 years ago, 60, 65 years ago, to now. And in some ways, sad to think that history is repeating itself. Like, come on, people, can we learn? Can we learn from history? But also exciting to see how we, at the same time, history is being made. And I hope history is made with this upcoming election. I don't talk about politics too much on the podcast. I'm political and I do have my own opinions, but I try to keep in mind that I am not the most informed person when it comes to politics. So I like to speak to things that I am informed on. And while I do have my own opinions, I can acknowledge my limitations to speak to certain subjects, and that doesn't mean I don't know anything, but it just means that I'm not an expert and I'm sharing my thoughts. So, but I do know plenty of politics experts. So maybe I will. This inspired me to pick their brain a bit, bring some new perspectives to the podcast, and I want to leave everyone with one quote, and then I'm gonna tangent from this conversation. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. George Santayana, who wrote The Life of Reason in 1905, and they were a Spanish American philosopher. Fun fact, Winston Churchill is also credited saying something similar in a 1948 speech. So could the original quote have had been inspiration? Possibly. But he said to the British House of Commons, those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And I truly believe this quote. It hits me like down to my bones because I think it's fascinating that we have these history books that have these former conflicts, some still reoccurring for some goddamn reason, but these culture wars. And instead of learning from past, we repeat these things, and people stay closed-minded or not wanting to grow. And sometimes, honestly, this also stems from the inequality with education across the world and in the US as well. So there are many contributing factors, but I think, educated or not, understanding that if we don't learn from the past, we are going to repeat the past, and that is not ideal. Like, I mean, who wants to repeat some of these things? Not me. So exciting end of July, and we'll see what's to come. I will definitely be voting in the fall and getting informed on all of the propositions and such that California has, because there are always a handful of them. So I like to understand what I'm voting for. I mean, I think it's important that we educate ourselves and don't take for granted our right to vote, because there are so many countries and places in the world where people in general, let alone women, don't have human rights. And that is one of them. there are also many places in the world where women have way more human rights in the US, but we're not gonna get into that today. That'll be another episode. So, yeah, I am 1 month away from my 30th year coming to an end. Coincidentally, I've also been more emotional recently, and I think that's partially because it's been an amazing yet challenging year, and this year has pushed me to grow in so many ways, and while I've grown, I also can acknowledge that I have more growing to do, and I'm super excited to see what the next year of life brings. It's surreal to think that and I don't wanna say 30s because I literally just turned 30, but that I you look forward to turning 30, or at least I looked forward to turning 30. I was excited and anticipated. This is a new era. I embraced it fully. So the fact that my 30th year is coming to an end in a month from now makes me think about how I want to approach this next year of life. And I plan to approach it and by focusing on things that bring me harmony and fill my cup up, that help me grow into my authentic self. And I want to be someone who loves themselves and shines their light. And I think that I'm already practicing a lot of these things, to be honest, but I want to continue to practice them and hone these, in my personal opinion, for me, healthy habits. And I want my energy to radiate kindness, patience, good vibes, and love. And that is because I find that I can get so focused on the end result of things that I lose sight, in a sense, of the journey. And I want to make sure that along that journey, no matter what the result is, I can bring my best self to it. And that means good energy, kindness, collaboration, thoughtfulness, and kindness to myself and to others. And that free spirit of being creative, just sharing my thoughts and opinions for the greater good, not thinking about what is this person going to think, or am I overstepping? Granted, there are lines to be watched, but I think also if I'm coming from a good place and practicing kindness, I mean, is it better to, what is it, ask for forgiveness? And at least I know I've been coming from a good place. So, some thoughts for myself and us all as we enter new chapters. Each of us goes through this every year, and there were lots of highs and lows, growth in so many ways, professionally, personally, in my relationships, friendships. So it was a wild ride. For me, the lows aren't bad things. They're things that challenged me in moments that I may have struggled, questioned myself, which definitely happens, or needed uplifting, but through it grew. And that's why in some ways they're lows, but they ultimately help me grow. And the good things are highlights, lessons learned, silver linings at times, and things that help me see new perspectives and learn more about myself, and in that way really grow into my ideal self, which is beautiful to reflect on and see me get one step closer there. So there is still a long journey to go on, but I'm excited of what that's going to look like. And as I continue on the journey, I want to remind myself to be present more and keep practicing things that help me grow while staying true to my authentic self, and remembering to do me, and that I can only control me. We can only control ourselves, and we choose who and what we give our energy to and have to advocate for ourselves. It's important to remember that, because times that you feel weak and uncertain and unsure are when you need to dig deep and remember who you are and fill your own cup up first. Definitely surround yourself with people that can fill your cup up as well, but it can't be on others to solely fill your cup up, or there will feel like there's something missing, in my opinion. And last but not least, age is a mindset, not a number. I think that if you feel like a kid at heart, and feeling like a kid can mean so many things, it's a personal feeling, but if you keep that curiosity and play and joy for life, it is going to help you feel youthful in a way and more fulfilled, really help you enjoy the journey, which is what it's about. So those are some thoughts from me to you as I wrap up being 30. I know it may seem ridiculous or silly that I'm reflecting on this year, but it was a momentous year with my move from New York to California and reacclimating back home in the suburbs with family, with a boyfriend, and growing my friendships and relationships, some from long distance to being in person and vice versa, and working remotely. So I wanted to share some thoughts about how working from home has made it easier for me to have this podcast. For any of you that are also working remote, and if you're not, it is doable. It's just a matter of making time for yourself and starting in with baby steps. And that it may not be a podcast for you. Maybe it's for me, some days it's working on a puzzle and doing my New York Times games. It's so easy to start small with finding ways to fill your cup up and do things that help you feel stay curious about life and feel like your authentic self. So don't be afraid to try something new and start small. So, some of the things that I am grateful for from working from home is not having to commute. And that's because it allows me to spend more time on my personal endeavors. Before I was in the suburbs, I was in the city and return to office was happening. So I was going into the office more, and my commute was about 40 minutes one way. So that's not the worst, but it's time that I'm taking commuting. I can only do my job so much during that commute. So, and it just means less time for me to spend on my personal endeavors. So that was something that I do not miss at times, even though I do miss the city. I'm the most active I've been because it makes it easier for me to walk during the day. I walk while I work. It's a treadmill and a walking pad. It's convertible, so it's nice and very versatile. I can put it in the show notes, but I've been walking. I am 600 miles into my walk to Mordor, and I started in January, like mid-Jan, so very proud of myself. And it's been nice to feel more active. I think part of that's because I have more space, and I also live in an apartment complex that has a gym included. So it is really nice to have it included as part of the rent and not an add-on. And overall, what I'm getting for my money's worth is more than I would get in New York with the amount of space that I have. So lots of pros, lots of cons, but love that I'm being active and enjoying the slow days by the pool. I definitely need to do it more and have started to dabble in going to the pool after work because I work East Coast hours or sneaking away during lunch and just sitting outside. So it's really nice to do that more and see family and get to grow with my best friend and boyfriend and push each other in great ways. So it's been a wild year. I'm excited for the next one. And because my birthday's in August, that will be a fun month of some interview episodes with people that you know and love. That is Rose, my former co host. I will be interviewing her, and we have to set that up. So, this is me putting pressure on myself and reminding me that we are doing this interview episode and getting it booked. So that is what it takes sometimes to keep this passion alive, holding myself accountable in great ways. 2 content recs I wanted to share before we wrap are Lady Jane. I finally finished watching it. So recap is love the play on history and creative ideas of how this world is imagined. In Jane's world, she's the main character, there's conflicts between the Verity purebloods, which are ordinary people. If we're going to compare it to Harry Potter, it would be like Muggle people like Jane and people called Ethians. And Ethians can change into their animal form at the drop of a hat. So I'll be pro Verity and Ethians living happily amongst each other, but that conflict is interesting and a big part of the show. And the main character, Jane, she is great. She's strong-minded. She's in a man's world and goes through relatable lessons despite it being set another time and scripted. So I really enjoy that. And it's smart humor. All in all, a must watch. I'm hoping there's a second season. It's not confirmed yet, but recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime Video. And my second rec is Love Island USA. I have wrecked this already before, but the season just ended, and my recap is when you're trying to watch your show when your boyfriend's there. Marco watches a lot of my shows with me, but when I was watching the finale, he was up to his shenanigans and doing things like trying to get on the podcast by distracting me from watching the finale. And he managed to work his way in. So, you won. Here you go. Not that it's winning or losing, but you know what I mean. And on that note, for a surprise, I wanted to tell him and everyone at the same time, because this will be the first time he hears this, that one of my birthday gifts I want is to do an interview episode with him. So I am very excited to record with him. We talked about a little bit since I really created the podcast, and he's helped me about me interviewing him at some point. And I think now is the perfect time to do that. It'll be a birthday treat to me and to celebrate our 2-year anniversary as well, because that is coming up in August. So very excited for this interview episode and to get to be on the mic with him. I know that we can chat for days and have such good banter, so it will be a fun episode and very, very special to look back on one day. So that is to come. August is a vibe because it's my birthday month and we're entering Virgo season. So here we go. Check out Love Island if you're into reality TV shows or competitions. So if you've watched Love is Blind and that's your vibe, and I think it's the first season that they're doing a reunion. So stoked for that. It should be really fun. I think that either Ariana Madix will host it or Maura Higgins, who's been doing the After Sun episodes, and this is Pie in the Sky. Not sure if he will, but I think would be really great at it. Andy Cohen, because he does all of the reunions for a lot of the Bravo shows like Southern Charm, Summer House, The Real Housewives, you name it. He does it. He's great. He has a way with people at these reunions that I admire and enjoy. So more to come. That it premieres on Peacock on August 19th. This sounds like an ad. It's really not. I just really enjoyed the show, and this season of Love Island was fire. It's season 6, and usually I've watched it on Hulu, but on Peacock I don't know though. I almost want to say it is really well produced, but the people seem really genuine. So I know it's a TV show. It was really good character building in this season. Lots of people that seem to be there for the right reasons, which I really appreciate, because while it's a game, it's also real life and real people. So I would hope people wouldn't go there to use people, even though I guess that's part of the gist if you look at it from that perspective. That is my spiel. I love you all. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to be back next week. Bye.
music and editing done by Marco. You can find him at Midnight, MIDNITE_mind80 on Instagram for more of his work.